Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app, and I want to explain to you how to make money on computers if you're taking them apart, what to look for, what to avoid, in general when it comes not only to computer scrap, but to industrial computer scrap like servers or any type of electronic that you're going to take apart. Now, in front of me here, you can see an array of different electronics. Now, Rockaway Recycling is a certified R2 vendor, so we don't actually dismantle any of the electronics that we get in. We just take it and we send it what's called downstream to be processed. So everything you see in front of you came in like this. So if you're looking at iScrap and you're saying, how do I make more money with this stuff? What's worth it? What's not worth it? Let's jump right into that. Now, what you're gonna see common is these computers. Now, this case is steel, so if you do strip this thing down, this case is just gonna be a light iron. But what you can see inside is the motherboard, right over here, the memory sticks. This is the fan, which goes over the heatsink, which covers the CPU. On the back, you see some wires that go to the power supply, and then on the front, you'll see a disk drive, and it looks like this customer took the hard drive out to recycle it separately or destroy their data. So those are all different things that could come out of computers. Now, if you spend time taking this apart, you're definitely going to triple your money. Let's start to look at some of these parts that are really valuable. First things first is the hard drive. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind, is there data on there that you need destroyed? Is there data on there that someone asked you to get destroyed? So that's really important. But if you're just scrapping it and the data doesn't matter, here's the hard drive. You can sell these to a scrapyard. You can find a scrapyard on the iScrap app that gives you some prices. But what I want to point out is this board that's on it. There's very small screws to take it off. There's a hard drive board, but this is what it's going to look like afterwards. Now, these hard drive boards have really expensive chips on them. They generally have gold inside of all the tips. So if you take these off, they're definitely worth more than a regular motherboard. But just to look at how small these screws are, it's going to be a lot of work, and you're going to need about 25 of these boards to make a pound. Now we move on to the motherboard. Now this is where you can really capitalize and make more money if you're taking these things apart. And let's go over some parts. Right off the bat, all of these wires you want to pull off. These are all full of copper. None of these are going to help you make any more extra money if you just leave it on the motherboard. In fact, it might downgrade it. Generally, there's some clips. You can pull them or you could cut them. Next thing I want to point out are these memory chips. Now, these memory chips are things that generally have very easy clips. One comes off, the second comes off, and these are items that you could actually sell to Rockaway Recycling. Our electronics division has a mail-in program buying memory and buying CPUs, which we're going to talk about in a little while. Now, when you're taking these out, there are a couple different types of memory that you want to look for. This is called Rambus. Rambus has these aluminum heat sinks on them. Generally, they're put on there with a piece of stainless steel. These are clips that are easy to remove with a flathead screwdriver. You pop it in underneath. Maybe I can kind of push down on it. Nah, I'm not going to hurt myself. But this will pop off. Then you'll have a clean piece of memory. Some people will say, oh, I can resell this on eBay for reusable parts. Well, sure you can. But if you don't know how to test it, then you're going to sell it and someone might give you a product return, and that's not a lot of fun. Now, when we look at the rest of this, you have this heat sink on it. Sometimes the heat sinks are aluminum. Sometimes they're stainless steel. How do you tell? Well, you look at the outside. This has a little more of a white look to it and a white color. This one has more of a shiny silvery look. This is made of stainless and this is made of aluminum. Now, I just want to point something out on this hard drive real quick. This beautiful piece in the middle is worth more than the entire thing combined. This is a piece of copper. Now, when you get a lot of these and you can see it, it's relatively thick. You can kind of flip it over and see the back. These are items that I would suggest putting in a bucket, and when you get enough of them with the copper inside, taking out your reciprocating saw or a grinder and cutting them so you can pop this piece of copper out and then sell it. But if you're taking this off, this piece of stainless will come off by taking the screws off. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Do not try to take this copper out. It's a huge pain in the butt. Sure, you could do it. We're not talking about a lot of weight. Sometimes it's easy, but sometimes they get jammed in there when it comes to stainless, where this, you can kind of cut it open and it pops out. Stainless, you're gonna burn a lot of blades and not make a lot of extra money. But after this comes off, what do you see here? A nice easy clip. You pop it opens that piece, and bingo bango, you get a nice CPU. Now, CPUs come in all shapes and sizes. This is one that has flat gold pins on it, and on the back it has a piece of copper which almost acts as another heat conductor or a heat sink. Even though there's one on there, you want to keep heat away so they continue to operate at high temperatures and high pressures. So now you can start to save these CPUs, save this memory, and this is stuff that you can sell to our Rockaway Recycling iScrap division, where we'll provide you free shipping labels and you can make more money, because some scrap yards don't really pay that much, or they don't know what it's worth. So it's just something to look for. So when you're taking it apart, these are more examples of heat sinks that we talked about earlier, aluminum ones. This has no copper, this has just aluminum. This is a piece where I would pop the plastic off the top and sell this as a sheet aluminum. Sometimes you could upgrade it to an aluminum 6061, but you need to make sure there's no stainless steel, no dirt, no garbage, no debris. Again, at a minimum, sheet aluminum. Another thing you do want to look out for is this video card. Now, these video cards are inside. Generally, if they were in here, they might be plugged into this piece over here, you know, like this. Depending on where it is, this is not from this board. So these video cards, just like the memory and just like the CPUs and similar to the hard drive board, have more gold, have more chips on them, they're worth more money. If you save these, you can also make more money on these. They are not regular motherboards. They're worth sometimes double what a nice motherboard would be worth. So these are things that you want to sort and separate. And yes, it's going to take you 10 of them to make a pound. This is not something where you're making money overnight. This is not like picking up a car, cutting the cat, selling the car, scrapping the cat with RR cats. This is something that you're going to have buckets, save them, and then cash them in when you have enough weight to do so. Now, before I go on, if you have questions about these, we have prices online through the iScrap app, and you can always put your prices out there, but RockawayRecycling.com also has that electronics buying division, so check that out and get some quotes there. Now, not only do electronic circuit boards come from your computers and your servers and your laptops, they come from other low-grade items that are operating your house. Microwaves, ovens, DVD players. This could be from a clock radio. I don't know what these are out of, or a microwave. But what I do know, there's not a lot of precious metal on them. The one thing I do see is all these nice wires, and if you're gonna spend any time on anything, you're gonna make more money just pulling these wires off than you would on the board itself. So these are items that you always wanna be able to take apart once you get this insulated copper wire off. This wire, and if I pulled these off as well, is probably worth more money than this entire board is, because there's not a lot of gold, copper, or aluminum left on this thing. But again, peel the wire off, peel the heavy pieces of aluminum off, scrap the rest as low grade. Some scrap yards might buy it as a CBM, which is a copper bearing material. But if you can find a really good scrap yard, like through the iScrap app, you'll be able to find an electronics buyer that knows a little more when you're out there recycling your electronics. So is it easy? Absolutely not. But we're here to help. Ask questions, post your prices, like and subscribe to our page. And until next time, scrappers, I'll scrap you later.